Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Does anything seem off to you now that the SEC versus Ripple trials are over and XRP is the only large cap coin on the entire planet with legal certainty? Is your intuition alerting you that something is off? Have you noticed the relatively low volume of official pronouncements about crypto and our community as a whole? In the wake of the SEC's humiliating setback, Gary Gensler has been reduced to oohing and awing and falling all over himself. That means there is an obstacle in the way. It's a little weak, you have to admit. But he has a measure of it. In any case, where have all the politicians gone? All of us in this government are vocal opponents of cryptocurrency, and we're getting loud. Leave us alone. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that we are seeing the complete opposite. Political leaders are providing their stamp of approval, giving us hope that the next Congress might actually do something about this. Hopefully, not too far down the road. Do you not find that a little bit strange? Can you guess why? Please don't misunderstand me. People like that Bitcoin maxi, who drags his feet and breathes with his mouth open, are so illiterate that they need assistance getting dressed in the morning. We're wearing Velcro fastening shoes for their protection. They keep their heads covered like the professionals they are out there. They are, to put it bluntly, angry. They've lost their minds entirely. They don't know what to do in this situation. Everything they say is incoherent yelling. Okay, I guess that's settled. However, no one in charge appears to be doing action. I posted a video yesterday in which I alluded to wanting to talk about this very thing. After hearing about it from a well-respected member of the crypto law community, attorney James Murphy, I felt obligated to bring it up. Interestingly, after I posted my video and attorney Deaton commented on the matter, he seemed to agree with it regardless. Just so happens that after I posted my video, attorney Deaton noticed the same thing I did and had, but to opine on addressing that, so I thought I'd share that with you in this video. Not that I think it's because I brought it up in the video. However, before I go any further, I feel it necessary to state that I am completely unsupported, financially or otherwise. I can't provide you sound advice on money matters or the law. Keep in mind that you should never take anything I say as a justification for making a purchase or sale. As a side interest, I enjoy making videos about cryptography and sharing them on YouTube. How many of you follow current events? Right. Here, Representative Torres is an artifact from the recently unearthed tomb. Ripple's CEO begs the SEC's head to end his war on crypto rhetoric. The fact that Congressman Richie Torres and the touring firm have a last name is, as far as I can tell, purely coincidental. The judge in the SEC versus Ripple case, Annalisa Tourism, is not related to you in any way. In any case, the brother of Judge and Congressman Richie Torres wrote this letter, and I wrote a long response to him, which I capped off with a reference to Glee. I thought it was a funny video, and you would too. See, he wrote something to Gensler that wasn't necessary, but the tone of the letter implied, how you gonna act with it? What's more, I found that to be highly amusing. There's been yet another front page story. Although this article is somewhat old, it still contains some useful information. A member of Congress in the United States is praising the Supreme Court's ruling in the Ripple case while criticizing the SEC for being too strict. That politician deserves all the credit that's due to them. The present administration's attitude on crypto is more harsh than that of its predecessor. Nonetheless, proper recognition must be given. This Democrat lawmaker deserves the accolades that have been bestowed upon him. What a wonderful thing this is for me. It makes no difference which political camp you support. I really don't give a hoot about it. The station does not feature political programming. Even so, the reply is yes. While the current administration is unsupportive of cryptocurrency, not all Democrats share this view. Giving praise where it is due is a wonderful thing to do. The meta lawyer opines as follows. That's his username over on Twitter. My name is James Murphy, and I work as an attorney. Here are his ideas on the topic. It's astonishing how everything has to line up perfectly at the proper time in this regard. It's been a week since the judgment and we still haven't seen any serious challengers. Which is saying something. So this is what he said. Have you noticed how muted the criticism of Judge Torres and her sweeping ruling has been? Elizabeth Warren, a senator, will not make any negative remarks on Twitter. There appears to have been no enlistment in any anti-crypto armies. There was not a single opinion piece in today's New York Times that took a firm stand on anything. First, this makes perfect sense, as Judge Torres is qualified for her post as a Democrat-appointed New York State judge. She attended Harvard College and Columbia Law School. A veteran of serving on juries. Thirdly, both sets of her paternal grandparents were involved in New York State government as judges and lawmakers. Importantly, Obama's nomination of Judge Torres to the federal bench is the fourth point. Oh, wait. Remember that. Despite the current administration's well-documented cryptophobia, any effective resistance will need them to consume some of their own dog food. Indeed, Judge Torres has made a fair decision. Excellent work by our new judge. The appointment of Annalisa Torres as the new judge is a wise one. She showed us how to do it. Attorney Murphy claims that this has helped defuse tensions related to the ruling. As far as anyone can tell, Judge Torres is not on the side of the crypto people. She was impartial in her application of the law. Well done, anyway. That's totally accurate. That's why the SEC isn't just grinning broadly, they're also grinning broadly with their mouths open. They are not only permitted to do so, but also thrilled to behold it. They were at a loss, and the anti-crypto administration was as well. Please give me 2 of those. So, Attorney John Dean replied to the thread by tweeting the following. The so-called Torres Doctrine is nothing more than an attempt to apply a test developed in 1946 to modern blockchain technology. Judge Torres used a strict version of the Howey test to each form of XRP sale since the SEC claimed that they breached the law. That is to say, Judge Torres did nothing more or less than the Supreme Court in making it absolutely clear that the only thing that matters in an investment contract transaction or scheme is whether the Howey test is satisfied, full stop, regardless of whether the asset or enterprise, in this case XRP, is speculative or non-speculative. The Howey component's hard stop and humorous pause can be used to inquire as to the frequency with which I encounter Kim Jong-ganzer. And how many of his mini-monster progeny can already be found in the medical legal arena? How many do we have? Do they flap their wings and scream about how people are speculating on XRP, only to then bring up intrinsic value that has nothing to do with the Howey test or legal precedent? I don't see why they would stress that so much. The reason for this is that they attempted to change the law significantly without getting approval from Congress. It wasn't restricted to only sightseeing trips. It was a gross overreach, and they were promptly shut down. What a pathetic reply, oh no. I can't wait to experience it. But that's what happens when you set your sights too high. This was the case, indeed. That's right, they do. Amazing, I have to say. The offenders were convinced they wouldn't get caught. They sought to set a precedent unsupported by the law or the approval of Congress if they could convince a judge to buy into their argument. The expected result was realized. They were under the impression that comments like those may sway public opinion. However, they were unable to understand. John Dean claims that the Howey test for institutional sales was successful. The results of the programmatic sales conducted through the exchange were not satisfactory. A judge applying the Howey test is not obligated to take into account the sophistication of the buyers. And there's nothing in the test to tell a judge, after they've applied the Howey factors, to make sure their decision squares with the policy aims of the Securities Act of 1934. You must remember that neither Google nor the Internet existed in 1934 or 1946. The priorities of public policy in 1934 may not be the same as they should be in the present. A judge's job is to interpret and apply the law as it currently stands. it is up to Congress to make the decision. Torres did just that. He perused the court transcript of the case SEC versus Coinbase case. The judge asked the SEC what resources are available to help industry actors evaluate which coins are and are not securities. The judge is a colleague of Judge Torres and the Southern District of New York. The SEC countered by claiming that the Howey case provides important precedent for simply begins with all the data they need to decide what to do. According to the SEC and Gary Gensler, it has been abundantly clear for the past 76 years what types of investments qualify as securities and which do not. So, what Judge Torres did was simply apply this simple rule to the evidence presented in the Ripple case. Like I said, there was a show about crypto law on American TV today. To make sure, check out the 13th footnote. The SEC's attempt to have the Second Circuit reverse her ruling would merely result in a remand for further review. And I certainly won't be scrolling up to read all of this. You can now skip forward to the footnote without having to reread the whole text. But I'm going to keep going anyhow. Attorney Deaton then argues that Judge Torres did not decide whether or not programmatic sales on exchanges satisfied the first and second prongs of the Howey test. In the extremely unlikely event that the Second Circuit were to reverse her on the third criterion, she would still apply the first two considerations. Given that the court has already dismissed the SEC's expert testimony, it can either send the case back to the jury with the argument that XRP holders and Ripple do not share a common enterprise, or it can send the case back to the jury with the question of whether or not XRP holders and Ripple shared any consumptive purpose. The SEC is up against a formidable foe in the form of widespread business. It's possible that if she ignores the third and fourth arguments, she'll still come to the same conclusion. Today, attorney Louis Cohen argued that Judge Torres' decision was a correct application of the Howey test, whereas the SEC had previously missed the mark. Sure, and it's just one more coincidence in a long line. On the merits, the SEC was also manifestly wrong. That we won't have to go through the appeals process to prove that is a huge relief to me. I'm not saying they're all wrong, but they could exist. But if the right rule is already implicit in the situation, that might not be necessary. As a rule of thumb, the fact that XRP is not a security is the most crucial point we have made. Because of that, it happened. By the way, Obama also appointed the judge. Wow. This is why you have obligations that must be fulfilled. Do you really think there wouldn't be after such a historic ruling? There must have been a lot of commotion, right? Sure, drought and rattlesnakes? Perhaps if Obama weren't president, we wouldn't have received this verdict. Because it is the root of the problem if you go back far enough. I mean, she did turn in the work, right? She was just being compliant. She never arrived at her own decision about what she wanted to happen. She put it practically by saying, "Here is the law. The ideal outcome before a judge." That's so sweet. Superb effort. Our good fortune in having Judge Annalisa Torres on our side cannot be overstated. She performs admirably here. Maybe we got lucky and the judge was appointed to the library case by chance. Oh, man. In that case, my response would have been something like, well, see, you guys have another 3 to 5 years, because we're gonna have some appeals. Instead, we received better than we could have imagined. Absolutely nothing can top this. Anyway, I figured I'd share my interest in the topic with you. Then, Attorney Deaton did a fantastic job of breaking through the reasoning for the judge's ruling. And I think that helps clarify why, even if an appeal is filed, it is not going to change anything that is not in the SEC's favor. Since the ruling will become binding precedent if it is appealed, it will have a chilling effect. So you shouldn't rely on my judgment on your investments or trades, because I'm not a trained financial expert. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.